Okay, so this is like the third time I'm trying this. The screenwriting app keeps breaking, so that's annoying. Anyway, hopefully this one works. I'm going to try to go quickly. Just a couple little updates, mostly around the plot. I added some project stuff. You know, it's pretty simple. You can print. You can select which sections of the piece to print. If you do so from here, it just default to selecting just the one scene you're in. That's pretty simple. I got a little. I got project, or I get like configuration options, so I can disable the rich text stuff. I can you can play with line spacing, all that kind of goodness. That gets set initially in the project, and then per scene when you add it, it takes whatever the current set is, but you can override it on a scene by scene basis. So you could have like scene 3.3 could be line spacing of 3, and scene 3.2 could line spacing of 1. Pretty simple. I've got this cool little thing here, focus, and then everything just comes back. Pretty straightforward. Add some visual stuff to the notes. You can delete the project from your project view now, download the backup again, which I think you could do before in the last video, but you can. It downloads a folder with a bunch of individual text files, and then a JSON, a structured data format that you could just use to import. So you could, from here, you could import the project. So you could get around the fact that you can't save it in the cloud natively yet, because I haven't done that, but that's one of my steps to get myself comfortable letting people use it, to know that if they actually wrote something they cared about, they could get it, and I wouldn't ruin their lives. Anyway, so plotting. So I got a plotting here. I just added 3 acts, 3 scenes in each. It's not very large, not very complicated, but there's a lot. There's like 9 arcs, and there's a whole bunch of characters, and oh my goodness, what's to be done about all of these things here? So many things. Well, let's go into the inspect mode, and we want to look at the project, right? Because that's what we're talking about here. So I've got the inspect mode as before. There's a little bit of change here. I'm just checking to make sure this thing is still running. Oh, it appears to still be running. That's nice. Anyway, so I've got it at the width where it will hide the labels, but if you, oops, I've got all the arcs. So it's a little complicated. I've got, I'm going to move myself a little more out of the shot. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't matter for the purposes of this. And so, yeah, so I got all these things, and I'm trying to figure out, what the deal is going on. Now, as I scrolled back, I hadn't really planned my reveal of this, but I have a bunch of characters. I have a whole bunch of characters. You can see here, when I'm not in the inspection mode, it only shows what I have added to the project. But one of the things I figured would be an issue would be orphaned assets, right? So I've got like this really still very ugly list of assets here. And eventually I'll have a list like beside it, say Matt, and it'll say how many scenes it's in, or that information will be surfaced. But when you're plotting it, it seems that it would be worthwhile to have some feedback on that. And I thought about using a big tray up top, or something like a Final Cut kind of thing, to show you like your library, which I'll probably still eventually do. But for right now, you can just, so if I wanted to add a new location, I could add it here by clicking on clicking on the type or whatever. But then as you scroll down, you see, oh my goodness, these are these 9 acts. These are not sorted because they're just in the order in which they were created. And then you see this red line here. Look at this red line. That is because Mysterio is not in the project. I created this character, Mysterio, but I'm not using him anywhere. So that is a little visual feedback that, not there. And like if I get rid of Mary, if I say I'm going to remove Mary, she also shows up that way, right? But then if I say, you know what, I'm going to get Mary. Oh, and because I don't want to, otherwise, why do I have that character, which might, also be good information to have. But boom. So then there you go. And that would probably be more useful in terms of like dialogue and story beats and stuff like that. But so that's kind of a nice, I thought that was kind of nice. It was pretty quick to add. Yeah, so there's a lot of this stuff. And if I shrink it down to here, that's good. But say right here, I got a basement. It takes place, whatever this piece of lovely prose is, takes place entirely in the basement. So I don't really need that anymore. So I just want to look at the arc and the characters. Oh, I hit dialogue for some reason, but I meant the characters. So I have a little thing there that you can filter. So it'll turn them off from this view. So if I only wanted to look at the characters, I could do that. Although having a couple is probably more helpful. It's pretty cool. You can still, even when you're doing that, you can do that. You can do the filtering like I did in the last video, so you can look at a bunch of different ways. I'm going to disable that. I'll probably add a deselect all button. But that in itself I think would be pretty cool. But there's one more little thing, which is actually just a feature request that I think Matt made the other day, is you have these guys and you got like 9 arcs. I think his example was characters. So let's go to Matt and what is this? I'm going to pick a color that's very similar to that. Oh my goodness. And then you click on Paul. Let's give him blue. And then, oop, did I hit that? I didn't hit that. Okay. And I'm going to give myself a dark blue. And whoever Stan is, I don't know, doesn't matter, etc. So you can quickly, if you were to shrink it down, okay, I said it was really slow. It's actually just slow because I'm running it in development mode. When you run it in production mode, it's a lot faster. But so I could, oops, I'm focusing the wrong ones. If I wanted to focus on this, and let's say just arc 1, or arc 1 and arc 2, then that would allow me to do that. And the coloring, which you can also do on the arcs, you can do it on everything. It's pretty cool. So that was actually pretty fast to implement. So yeah, that seems really cool. I'm feeling tired, getting over a cold, and that's why I'm being a little rambly, because that's what I always am. But anyway, yeah, that's a pretty cool feature. It's getting pretty close. I think actually as is, it would probably be okay for people to use. So I just need to do some upgrading of the assets, so this looks a little less crappy and is actually useful. And then I will probably put it somewhere that people can actually play around with. So, but check that out. That's so cool. And then custom coloring. Whee! Hey, I recorded that time.